Most action movies operate like a quick game of checkers. You trade a few fast moves, watch some explosive jumps, and the board is cleared. But occasionally, a film comes along that demands you sit down, study the board, and play a slow, methodical game of strategy. That brings us to Dhurandhar 2. In an era of short videos and shrinking attention spans, this film does something that challenges modern viewing habits. It requires exactly 4 hours of your undivided time. What makes this runtime so unusual is what the movie leaves out. You won't find the standard commercial safety nets here. There are no breezy romantic subplots to lighten the mood, and the narrative strips away the traditional high-energy dance sequences that usually break up the tension in Indian cinema. Yet audiences are staying firmly in their seats. This creates a genuine mystery. How exactly does a director keep a restless, modern audience locked in for 240 continuous minutes without relying on the usual tricks? The answer lies in the process of watching. The film keeps the viewer constantly calculating, tracing the shifting lines between loyalty and betrayal. The heavy runtime becomes a byproduct of the puzzle rather than a hurdle to be cleared. To understand the tension, we first have to look at the board itself. The setting here bypasses generic fictional cities. Instead, the conflict directly spans the physical and political divide between India and Pakistan, grounding the story in a highly volatile geography. Within this setting, the story blends the operations of international intelligence agencies with the raw, localized power of underworld syndicates. You have characters from the streets of Karachi pulling levers that affect national security in Delhi. The writers anchor this fictional conflict by mirroring actual criminal figures. The narrative invokes the aura of real-world politicians and mafia leaders, like the late Uttar Pradesh gangster Atiq Ahmed, using recognizable details from actual police dossiers to shape the antagonists on screen. When the line between an afternoon news broadcast and a cinematic script begins to blur, the danger feels immediate. The audience recognizes the real-world weight of these power struggles, forcing them to weigh the consequences of every single move the characters make. Navigating that kind of heavy material requires severe discipline. Director Aditya Tar actively refuses to rely on the constant explosions that usually mask a thin plot. Instead, he builds tension through the margins of quiet scenes. A sharp shift in the background music or a character's specific focus on a minor object signals an unspoken alliance, rewarding anyone who stays alert to the subtext. This graph illustrates the pacing difference directly. The erratic spikes represent the erratic, frequent action sequences of a standard 2-hour blockbuster. Notice how they constantly reset. Now look at this smooth, continuous climb. This represents how Dhurandhar 2 slowly tightens the screws, building an unbroken chain of tension across 4 hours without offering the audience an easy release. This structure respects the viewer. By refusing to rush the plot, the film trusts its audience to track the details, rewarding their patience with a deeply layered thriller. A 4-hour plot needs a highly dynamic piece to move across the board, and that responsibility falls on Ranveer Singh's intensely calculating character. He abandons the mold of the righteous hero. His performance is fluid and highly reactive. Depending on the scene, he shifts from a calculating soldier to a vicious gangster. He behaves with a ferocity that keeps the audience off balance regarding his true loyalties. This extreme behavior is a direct reaction to the opposition on the board. The villain, played with crushing gravity by Sanjay Dutt, presents such an unyielding threat that our lead character is forced to adopt brutal, survivalist tactics just to stay in the game. Because of this dynamic, the violence on screen reaches a very dark place. The film features heavy censorship cuts, disturbing psychological warfare, and an unflinching look at violent crimes. This is not casual family viewing. But that exact sense of danger is the film's strongest asset. Because the characters are entirely unpredictable and the threat feels absolute, the 4-hour runtime never feels safe or stagnant. This careful positioning leads directly to the film's halfway mark. The legendary interval block serves as a structural pivot point that shifts the entire weight of the story. The sequence recontextualizes every interaction from the previous 2 hours, leaving the audience in total silence as they are forced to reconsider the true motivations of every character on screen. By the time the final act arrives, the resolution of this massive geopolitical web hits with real emotional weight. The long buildup ensures that the climax feels earned, providing a satisfying close to the psychological warfare. The box office response to this demanding structure reveals a clear trend. Audiences are experiencing action fatigue. They are looking for films that provide more than just loud, consequence-free spectacles, and are actively seeking out cinema that challenges them. Dhurandhar 2 demonstrates that runtime is rarely the actual problem. If a storyteller masters the narrative board, builds genuine, unbroken tension, and respects the intelligence of the viewer, an audience will stay in the dark for 4 hours to witness the final move.